You're listening to the RE Social Podcast with your hosts, Andrew and Vince from OnV Invest. For more information, go to onvinvest.com.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of RE Social Podcast. And today we have a special guest from California, Mr. Sharad Mehta. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you, Vince? How are you, Andrew?
I'm doing great. How about yourself? How was your day? How was your week?
Good, man. Good. Yeah, it was a good week, a good day. Just came back from playing a couple of hours of pickleball, so feel pretty good.
That's
Yeah.
like all the rage lately. I've just not
I
played
know,
yet.
man. I mean, I shouldn't. I use the term play very loosely. Like I use sit out for 45 minutes, play for 10 minutes, wait for 45 minutes. So yeah, you go there for 2 hours, play 3 games, and like, oh, that was kind of
10
fun.
minutes is probably enough, though. Is it like,
Yeah.
is it super intense?
No, it's not.
Oh,
No,
okay.
you
It's
don't.
like,
Yeah, you
Gotcha.
hardly break a sweat. Yeah.
nice, man. Yeah, I got
Yeah.
some hobbies on Tuesday. It's gonna get about 80 right here in SoCal, and I'm gonna hit the harbor in my paddleboard. I throw it in my
Oh,
car and I
cool.
just go do my thing.
Nice.
So
Awesome,
now that
man.
we got our Vince, what do you do in your off time? Let's go there. We're on a topic today.
No, dude, let's talk about Sharad. So, Sharad, so for people who don't know, I know you are involved with RE Simpli, but what do you do? Like a 90-second background for yourself.
Yeah, man. So I started investing in August 2010. I was living in Chicago, then started investing in Northwest Indiana. Bought rental properties. Then from there, the goal was to have freedom of time and money. Then from there, started wholesaling, flipping. 2015, I moved from Chicago to Southern California, and I started looking at some software I would need to run my business. I was doing about 40, 50 flips a year, and I didn't find anything. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to hire a couple of developers and create something. So that's kind of how we simply started. At this point, we have, thousands of companies that are using our platform. And I'm still investing in Indiana, still in that primary market. Now we do about 20, 25 flips. It's very hands-off for me. My project manager lives in Marietta and my lead manager lives in Canada. So, and that's just three of us. We don't have any local person in Indiana, and also own a property management company for my rental properties.
And how many rental properties do you have total?
50.
50. Nice. That's units
Right.
or properties? Like
Units. I mean, they're like single family to up to 4 units. Majority of them are single family.
Nice, man. That's kind of what Drew and I do as well. Do you well, before I go into some crazy tangent, so I like to have timelines. So you started in 2010, you said in Northwest Indiana, right? So were you like a software
August.
engineer before that?
No, I was an accountant.
Accountant, okay. And then so how
Yeah.
did you have money to start buying like single families in Indiana? Did you save money?
I mean, actually, the first few properties that I bought were 2 to 4 units. The first one I bought was 2 units. I mean, these are like very inexpensive properties that we're talking about. They've gone up in value now, but the first one I bought, and I paid like 25. I was all in for about 35,000. Rented for
Nice.
1,300. September 2010, I bought my second property, which was a 3 unit. I think I paid 44, put like 10,000 into it. 3 units combined were renting for $1,800. I'm like, holy crap, if I just do, and my wife and I, we had some money saved up between two of us, living very frugal lifestyle. We had some money saved up, so we invested in rental properties. And then my wife and I talked, and we're like, the opportunity that we have now, I don't think it's ever gonna come again in our life. So I decided to leave my job and then just do real estate full time. The idea was the worst that can happen is we lose everything. That was like the absolute worst case scenario, that I buy the worst properties ever. They go down to zero. So, like, all right, we'll lose about 100, 150,000, which is not, which is a lot of money, but the upside was much higher. So it was just basically looking at and saying, all right, what's the downside? What's the upside? The downside, we lose everything. I tried for a couple of years. If it doesn't work out, then I just go back, get my job again, and then just start doing. So worst I lose like the savings that we have in a couple of years of time spent in it.
Okay. So you bought the first couple of properties, because it's pretty inexpensive. So how did you keep buying properties if you quit your job?
Yeah, so
wife was working?
The wife was working. So we always lived on the lower of the two incomes. My wife and I were making about similar income. So we're always living on lower of the two incomes. So our lifestyle wasn't affected when I left my job. And, after like about 2 properties, I kind of ran out of money. So I started borrowing from friends and family. The idea was I bought it on 7-year amortization, 2-year balloon payment, just so that I was like really forced myself to pay these down as quickly as possible. So I was doing like BRRRR method, I guess you could say. I didn't even know it was called BRRRR method, but that's what I was doing. The rental income that I had coming from the first 2 properties I would use to pay down the loan. And then the third property that I had, I would just take the rental income, just keep paying it down and just keep kind of, growing from there. In 2012 through 14, I started wholesaling properties to Australian investors. There was a company in Australia that I connected with. They were selling properties in Indiana because Australian dollar was very strong against US dollars. So I started wholesaling properties to them. All the money that I was making from wholesaling properties to them, I just reinvested back into buying more rental property. So of the 50 units that I have, about 45 are paid for free and clear. That was always the goal, just to have very free cash flow properties, and that was kind of the idea. So I just kind of, the money that I was making from wholesaling, then flipping, just kept reinvesting into paying down the loan and buying more properties.
Wow, that's pretty cool,
Yeah.
man. We're kind of like what you're doing. That's what we're doing. We're around like 25 units, 12, 13 properties right now. But California is so expensive. So, and that's interesting. So you started off and then you went into the business. So now you did mention, I've been writing down some notes. You said it's for people who don't know. So when you say it's a 7-year AM with a 2-year pay, you have to pay out, so which means you will amortize your loan over 7 years, but that's a balloon, so which means the entire amount is due in 2 years, right?
2 years.
So I assume
Correct.
that you were taking on debt partners and not equity partners at this point.
Correct. Yeah, no equity partners. I owned 100% of it. Yeah, these are like just straight loans, 7-year amortization, 2-year balloon payment. They didn't have any equity. Yeah. I mean, they had, like, it was the property was secured by a mortgage. And then I
That's
just kind of forced myself into paying these down.
And then did you continue doing that method and you just offered debt only for them?
Yeah, so I did this for like a couple of more years, and then I started, selling properties, flipping properties, and then the incomes that I made from that kept kind of reinvesting into rental properties, paying down any debt that I had.
Wow. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, so
I
so
missed
I've
what
never
you
had
said.
any equity.
Okay.
So I've never had any equity partner in any of my businesses. I've all the businesses that I have, I own 100%. But the money that I was making from wholesaling properties or flipping properties, I just took that money, that profit, and then paid down the loan that I had. Then, just kind of kept growing from there.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Drew, did you have any questions on that?
No, it seems like you're it's interesting that you've been aggressive and yet conservative. How long have you been doing it now?
I haven't bought any, like I bought pretty aggressively from 2010 through 14 for myself. Then it kind of was, the prices started going up. In hindsight, I should have kept buying more. Prices started going up, then I kind of started doing more flipping and less buy and hold. I didn't sell any of the properties that I had bought for myself. Now I kind of buy a couple of properties a year and just keep those. But the goal, like when I was buying aggressively, was 2010 through 14. That's where I acquired majority of my units.
Got it. So that 14-year span, you're pretty focused on buy and hold as well as flips, kind of a little bit of both.
Correct. Yeah.
Nice.
Now it's primarily flips.
Okay, and then you chose Indiana. Other than the price point, what made you choose Indiana? Did you see that the economy was picking up?
No,
No, just the price.
no, not even the price. I mean, I literally lived in downtown Chicago. I drew 1-hour drive radius from where I live. Like I didn't even know Indiana was that close to where I live because I didn't have anything to do with Indiana. So I drew this 1-hour radius from where I was living, 1-hour driving radius, and I'm like, oh, there's a whole different state. And I kind of just started looking more into it. Another reason was Chicago, where I live, isn't landlord friendly at all. Indiana happens to be landlord friendly. So those were like 2 main reasons. The price point was actually not that bad in Chicago either. But the primary reason was the Indiana being landlord friendly.
Yeah, that's that's interesting. We started in California and we knew it wasn't landlord friendly, but we couldn't drive 1 hour to a different state, really.
Right.
Maybe we can. Can we drive to Arizona? I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah. But
if you drive extremely fast.
Yeah, we have a Mustang. We could do it.
There you go.
Yeah.
So what kind of experiences had you experienced when, you kind of made that decision? Or was it just like maybe hearing stories on forums and stuff? How did you know to like, okay, let's go to landlord friendly states?
Yeah, it was just like online research. Back in the day, anytime you Googled anything, Bigger Pockets would come up. So I was pretty
Right.
active on Bigger Pockets until 2012, 13, when I was buying like majority of my properties. So I would just, anytime I had a question, I would go ask, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? But yeah, I mean, it was from other people speaking about, if you're going to buy rental properties, preferably you want to buy in a landlord friendly state. And I just like happened to be in Chicago, like 30 to 45 minutes drive from Indiana. So it's practically a suburb of Chicago. There's a
Was there
local team that,
appreciation or was it purely price point and being a landlord friendly state? Was there like a good amount of appreciation in these markets or no?
I mean, I didn't, factor that in my numbers. My whole point was, all right, even if the properties that I'm buying, right? Let's go back to the first property. I was all in for about 35,000. I'm getting 12 or $1,300 a month in it. My whole idea was, like, what's the absolutely worst that can happen? Like, really, really the worst case scenario. The property is worth nothing. And this is like my thought process going in. I'm thinking, all right, maybe I'm absolutely the dumbest investor in the entire world. And I buy this property, it goes down to zero. But if I'm getting rent on these, I don't care if it goes down to zero, as long as I'm getting cash flow. So it was
Right.
very focused on cash flow. And for me, any appreciation was just bonus. Now the same property is worth about 100 to 125. So it's gone up in value,
Nice.
but that was never the expectation. That was never
Right.
factored into my the numbers that I was running.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's great. And what were you netting pretty decently on each unit? Were you having issues? What were some of the pros and
No, I
cons
mean,
once you got into it?
I mean the pros were like the cash flow was pretty good. You
Hmm.
know, I mean, like, this is back in the day. You could buy at like 3-4% rule. So it's like pretty insane, the prices to rent ratio that you could get. The downside was, I didn't know what I didn't know. It was like the first time you rent a property, and then, you put an ad on Craigslist back in the day, and you have people actually calling, and you like start freaking out. You're like, holy crap, people are actually interested in the ad that I have. They're willing to pay me money. When
Hmm.
you buy, I mean, at least for me, when I bought my first property, in my mind, I'm thinking, man, nobody is going to rent this property. Why would anybody want to rent this property from me? You start getting calls, you start showing property, and then people actually are willing to give you deposit. You get a little excited. You don't run your due diligence properly, rent to someone that you shouldn't have. Those kind of issues you run into, but you live and learn from those. But I don't think, like, knock on wood, there's been anything, that I look back, I'm like, man, I wish I had not done that. The only regret that I have is a couple of things. I wish I had started a property management company a lot sooner. And secondly, I wish I had just bought more properties. Those are the only two regrets that
Right.
I have.
Yeah, and the property management company you've got now, which manages obviously your properties, but is
Right.
it scooping up other properties as well? Are you like
Yeah, I
actually
mean,
out there?
yeah, so we have about 200 units that I manage. It's only for investors that we sell properties to. So a lot of flips that we do, we sell to other investors.
That's great.
Um, so then we manage those in-house, but we don't advertise, we don't market for any other investors. It's like whatever we have, my properties and other investors that we've sold properties to.
That's smart.
Just,
So you're
yeah,
making the
so.
money on the flip, and then you're like upselling the management, which is
Right.
that's
I mean,
great.
it's the property is already, when we sell the property, it's already rented out. It's cash flowing from day one,
Oh wow.
and the management is in-house. So when people buy it, investors buy that property, they don't have any reason to move to a different property management company.
And how do you decide on which property to hold since you've got a renter in there? I'm assuming it's probably already stable and cash flowing. Why not just keep
Right.
that yourself? What's the
I
criteria?
mean, the criteria is like, the cash flow that I have, I'll take some of the profit every few properties that I sell. I like to have my properties paid for free and clear. So some properties that I sell, then I take the money from that, keep a property for myself. So that's kind of what I've done. But last few years, invested heavily in RE Simpli. So that's taken a lot of cash flow that I put into the software company.
The software company? What's
Right.
I missed that part.
Yeah, he owns yeah. So I wanted to get into that next. So along this time, did you already start implementing ideas to start RE Simpli, or when did that come
Well,
about?
this was 2016 or 17 is when the idea came along. Like, I mean, that's when kind of decided, you know what, I'm just going to hire a couple of developers and, create a product for myself.
Call up all of our cousins in India, just hook it up, right? That's where it
There you go.
starts. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice, man.
Yeah,
So,
RE Simpli, that's what does RE Simpli do? I see you've got the shirt on. Let's give you a little plug and also help quench my curiosity and the audience's curiosity. What is RE Simpli? What is the applications?
so if you look at real estate investing business, people that are doing direct to seller marketing, you look at like there's four pillars of investing, right? You have the data, your marketing, your sales, and operations. So we do everything except list pulling for real estate investors. Like you cannot pull list, but once you pull list, then you can do everything. You can manage your data with list stacking. We have driving for dollars, right? Then for marketing, we have a dialer built in. You can do direct mail. You can have your website in the platform. And then we have a CRM for your sales management, phone system, buyers management. On operations side, you can manage your vendors. You can even do your bookkeeping and accounting all within the system. It's basically a business management system for real estate investors.
That's awesome. So it's all in one.
Yes.
That's brilliant.
Yep.
So you said
Yep.
you can't pull the list, like, so how does it differ from like, let's say Deal Machine or the other guys? What is the other one, the big one?
The
I
prop
forget.
stream.
PropStream, yeah.
Yes, so you can pull the list in PropStream and Deal Machine. Once you pull the list, then you bring over to our system, stack your list, call from here, then do direct mail and everything all within our system.
I see. But you could do that from PropStream too, though, right? And Deal Machine.
It's not a CRM, like it doesn't allow you to call or it doesn't allow you to send direct mail. I mean, I think it allows you to send direct mail,
You
but
can
it's
send mail.
like
I don't know
very
about calling though.
yeah, but it's very limited. You cannot call from it. Like you have
No.
to export your list and then take it to a different system.
Okay, so that'll be your system then.
Correct. Yeah.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then you have do you use it too to do all of your
Yeah.
flips, right?
Yep. Yeah. So all of my team members, like three of us are all, I mean, I guess including my bookkeeper, four of us are all using recently.
And then what area does it allow you to pick, like markets and stuff? Can you or do you have to know like where you want to go to look at
No, you
lists?
pull your list, wherever you want to pull your list from. And once you've done that, then it doesn't matter what market you're in. You pull your list, then you just bring it over to our system and then you can manage everything. At this
I
point, we
see.
have like investors from all over the country that are using our product from like Hawaii to New York.
Yeah, so it's like it's CRM then, right?
Yeah, it's a CRM. That's kind of what we're most known for, is being a CRM.
That's
Right.
cool. For people who don't know what CRM is, do you want to explain?
Yeah, I mean, CRM stands for like customer relationship management, I think.
Yeah.
It's basically a software where you manage your leads, your contacts, essentially, where you manage all your contacts in your business, your leads that you have, your motivated seller leads, your buyers, your vendors, you manage that, and then everything around it that you have. So if you want to, so we have a phone system built in. So you have these contacts, you can call them, text them, email them, and then we just kind of grow from there. But essentially, it's a contact management system, if you want to call it, like at a very fundamental level.
Love it. And is there any kind of AI built into that, or some kind of maybe even
We
just
do.
kind of set an automatic?
Oh yeah, we definitely do. So if you have a lead come in, you miss a call, you can put it on a drip campaign. I think that's like one of the
Nice.
features that most of our investors love, is the automation with drip campaign.
Yeah.
You can put it on a drip, it'll just keep texting, sending emails, direct mail, it'll remind you to call that lead. It could go
Nice.
on for as long as you want. Like we have investors that have bought leads. I mean, I bought leads from drip campaign that have gone on for like a couple of years. Like
Nice.
we had an appointment like 4 years, the lead was in a drip campaign. And it's
That's
just like
great.
the system kept texting every month. It would remind us to call. It just like it kept going on for 4 years, and then we ended up closing on that property.
Yep. That's what the job is. That's awesome.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so like at fundamental level, it's a contact management system, but then you can have automation for it, and you can have phone system, you can have texting, email, the drip campaign. But at the very, very fundamental level, like it's a contact management system. So you want to know each contact that you're talking to, what stage of your, pipeline they're in. Is it a contact person that you're trying to contact? Is it a person that you have an appointment with, person that you made an offer, or that you already have a contract with?
That's awesome, man. And why did you design the software? Why? I'm sure it was a lot of work, a lot of headache, a lot of sleepless nights. Why build the software?
I mean, honestly, I needed it for my business. If I did not need it for my business, I probably wouldn't have done it. I wasn't smart enough where I saw at this vision, oh, there's a need for this product in the market. It was just as simple as, if I had never moved from Chicago, I would have never started recently, because I was living close to my properties. Then I was running a business very inefficiently back then. But once I moved away from Chicago to California, then I started looking at my business from a much higher level. Started noticing a lot of inefficiency. That's when I started looking for a more robust software than like Google Sheets or the other platform that I was using. That's kind of when I started looking for it, and there wasn't any solution that kind of fit the needs that I had. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to hire a couple of developers, just create something very specifically for myself. If it ends up adding value to other people, fantastic. If not, at least it'll solve the pain points that I have, and it'll still be worth it for me.
That's great. And how does
Yeah.
someone find or visit and get some more information on that?
Yeah, so they can just go to our website, RESIMPLI.com. And we have like a lot of information on the website. But if there's anything else in particular that they would like to know, they can always email like support@resimpli.com, and then we're more than happy to book a demo call, answer any questions they might have. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to go back to some of the other things that you were saying. So when you bought the properties, or did you try to pick like a B, C, or D neighborhoods, or like how did
I
you?
did, yeah.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I cut out A and D. A was going to be too expensive. D was just, I didn't feel comfortable. So
Yes.
it came down to like B and C. Started with what I would call a C neighborhood, and then just kind of, elevated to a B neighborhood, B minus neighborhood now.
Do you still own the C neighborhoods, or did you sell those?
Yeah. No, I haven't sold anything
Do you
that
see
I
a
bought for myself.
Do you see a difference in rent and price appreciation with B and C?
Yeah, definitely. I would say like the B neighborhood has appreciated more than the C neighborhood. I mean, again, you just keep in mind, this is very subjective, right? What I might
Sure.
call like A, B, C, D, you might have a totally different definition, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, based on kind of what I judge as a B and C neighborhood, B neighborhood definitely has had much higher appreciation. Some of the properties have like tripled or quadrupled in value. Again, I mean, keep in mind that I didn't pay much for these properties. So we're not talking like millions of dollars, but still like kind of based on what I paid to the value that they are, they're definitely appreciated.
Yeah, man, that's pretty cool. Yeah, we started off in D, C, and then we went to B, and then we started buying in A neighborhoods now as well. So it's for us, it's less headache.
Oh, definitely
Efficient.
100%. Yeah, I mean, if you can, like, honestly, if I can cash flow or break even on A neighborhoods, then I would buy in A neighborhoods, just because you
Yeah.
have less headache and there's much higher, chance of appreciation happening. I mean, your ROI and appreciation is always going to be much higher than cash flow, because cash flow, you're getting, maybe you'll make like 10, 12% cash and cash, but on appreciation, the money that you put into the property, you're getting on the market value. If it goes up by 5%, you buy $100,000 property, maybe cash flow on cash flow you make. So, but if it goes up in value, it's going up, 5 to 10% on that $100,000. So, you add $5 to $10,000 to your net worth. Next year, the same thing happens, right? It just keeps going up and up in value. But again, you cannot, pay your rent, or you cannot, buy anything with appreciation unless you do cash out refi. So my thought process always was, all right, for me, cash flow is what I want. If appreciation happens, fantastic. If not, it's all right. I'm okay with it. I can live with it.
We're recording at the end of 2023. A lot of our listeners are newer investors, and they're trying to get into the game. On some experienced ones. So, what would you recommend, you can't buy houses for 100 grand, nowadays, unless you go somewhere crazy. But do you think it's what would be the steps that you would advise people to take to get the confidence to buy your first or the next property?
Have you thought about investing in real estate and taking advantage of all of those benefits without any of the work? That is something that Onvi Invest not only provides, but has been providing since its inception. With friends and family, we have built an empire and a system of a wealth generating tool that is giving us and our friends and family that leverage in their life to create true wealth. Go to onviinvest.com for more to see if you qualify. And thanks for listening.
Would it be rental property?
Yes, rental, or it could be primary residence. We don't shy away from.
Yeah. I mean, what I would do is, if my wife, she wasn't comfortable with it, but if she were, this is what I would have done. I would have bought a 4-unit property, live in one unit, and rented out the other three. My wife wasn't comfortable with the idea, so we didn't go down that route. But if it were up to me, that's what I would do: buy a 2 to 4 unit, live in one unit, rent out the other, and then see how many times you can do that. That would, if you don't own a property and you are comfortable with that, or other people that are decision makers in your life, your spouse or whoever, your life partner, if comfortable with that, that's the best way to, that's the best first property that you can own. You don't have to live in it forever. You can live in it for like a year or two, move out, and see if you can repeat the process if that's something you feel comfortable with. But that's like the easiest way to own a 2 to 4 unit property.
Yeah, that's a very wise strategy. That's what we recommend for most people. In fact, the wall you see behind me, that's on the other side is it's a rental, and this is
Okay.
this is where I live. This is my podcast room, but I live in the main house, and there's a ADU in the back, so we rent that
Right.
out. And same with Drew as well. He lives down the street, and he lives in the main house, and then there's a studio about the garage, and he rents
Right.
that out too. So
Yeah.
that's a very I wouldn't say easy, but it's a good way to get into the game using
For sure.
leverage. And as you know, the Fannie Mae Freddie Mac changed guidelines as of next week. I think November 18th, you could get a 4-unit for 5% down, conventional
Oh
loan,
wow.
without FHA and the upfront MIP, which is like 175 basis points. So you don't have to do any of that. So a lot of people complain like, oh, it's very difficult to get into the game. I'm like, I mean, if you can't come up with 20 grand, I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's all you need to buy a $500,000 house. You only need like 30 grand, 5% down
Right.
and some closing costs. A lot of people are offering closing credit. So all you need is the
Yeah.
down
I mean,
payment.
anything worth doing in life is going to be difficult, right? If it were
Yeah.
easy, it probably won't have, probably won't be worth it in the end. It's hard because it's worth it. I mean, it's worth it. That's why it's hard. A lot of people are trying to do the same thing. Like, I mean, if you own the asset long enough, you're not going to lose money on it. You may buy it right now. You may think, oh, you're buying at the peak of the market, but over, the idea should be like hold it for 7 to 10 years, right? Even the primary residence that you're buying a 4-unit, don't buy it with the intention of selling it in a year or two. Just buy it with the intention that you're going to hold it for 10 years. You're not going to lose money. You're going to be cash flow positive. Most likely the values are going to go up unless something crazy happens. And then you'll just be much better off than you were when you bought the property.
Yeah. What's really interesting, I don't know if you guys have something to add to this too, is like what I see with people is, nowadays, kids and all the people, they want instant gratification. So they want to drive the cool BMW or the Mustang. But they also want to own a house in Newport Beach or Costa Mesa, like where we live.
Hey, bro, you're describing me.
I know, but he has the Mustang and lives in Newport, right? But it took us 5-6 years to get here, right? Because we started off in Bakersfield, and everybody and their mom made fun of us for doing that, because they're like, oh, who goes to Bakersfield? And then we
Right.
started buying in Inland Empire. They still made fun of us. They said, oh, Fontana, oh, that's
Kentucky.
Kentucky. And I'm like,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
And then we started buying in Orange County last year, and then they were like, hey, how do you do that? And we are like, yeah, right. You can't do it, bro.
Mm.
It's like, so now they want to know, but they don't understand. It's like what do they say? Like all these comedians and like artists, we're an overnight success of 20 years or like 15 years, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's just
I
crazy.
think-
They,
No such thing as an overnight success.
Yeah.
I
think
actually
one
just made
thing
a
you have
post
to-
today, like over 5 years in. I put something on our story where it's like some tenant had some issues, there were some maggots, it rained, there was trash, and I'm like hitting up my cleaner. And there was some baby screaming, so the tenant didn't sleep overnight. It's an Airbnb, by the way. It's like a furnished rental, and it had all these complaints, and I'm like answering it as calmly and nicely as I can. And I posted, I was like, "This is what the path to financial freedom looks like. Like, let's be real.
That's true.
You can see the car in the house and enjoy the the steak when I invite you over, but behind the scenes, Monday through Sunday, really,
Yeah.
you don't see
I
all the
think-
grind and the BS that I have to deal with to
I think one thing, like it's now that I'm kind of, at the stage, I'm a little bit more comfortable not worrying about other people's opinion. What other people has to think about me or what I'm doing, it's none of my business. If it's hard, and then I think I don't have any social media account. I have a Facebook account, but I use exclusively to go to our Facebook group that we have for our users. I don't use anything outside of that. I don't even know last time I posted on Facebook. I don't have any Instagram, Twitter, or any of that. The reason was it's hard when you go to social media because then you're comparing someone's finished product with the ingredients that you have. It's like you're trying to bake a cake. You look at this master chef that has this, the baker that's baked this amazing cake, and you just look at the ingredients that you have in your pantry. You're like, holy crap! Like, how am I going to get from this to this? It's not a fair comparison to have. If you look at, when people are posting on social media, they're generally posting. I mean, it's very great of you, kind of what you posted, Drew. Not a lot of people will not do that. A lot of people will post, the fancy cars that they have, or the checks that they're getting.
we post that too.
I should do more of
Yeah.
that, actually. Hold on, I'm gonna make a note to do more of that. I forget.
Yeah. No, but the thing
Yeah.
is, when people are posting on, for the most part, I'm not speaking for anyone in particular, but for the most part, when people are posting on Instagram, right, or any social media, they're posting the highlights of their life, right? They're posting the best moments of their life, the curated moments of their life.
Yeah.
Typically, when you go to social media, you're not feeling best, about your life. You generally, there's a lot of research been done around this. You're at a low point in your life. You're at a low point. You're looking at someone else's life, highlights of somebody else's life. It's never going to be a fair comparison. You're always going to come out feeling worse about yourself, your situation. So going back to real estate investing, kind of what you guys did, that was great. You guys hey, this is what we know is going to get us to the end result that we want. It doesn't matter what other people have to say. It's none of my business. If they have an opinion about something that I'm doing, fine, good for them. How does that concern me? And that's a very difficult mind shift. I don't follow any sports anymore. I used to follow that. I used to follow everything like NFL, NBA, and I would get worked up about, a player that I was following, and then, they should get $100 million contract, but the GM is only offering 90 million. I would get pissed off. And then I'm like, Sharad, what the hell are you doing? You're not going to get a percentage of the contract that they're getting. How does that concern you in any way?
Why do you care?
Yeah, why do I care? It was then I'm like, just, what?
Let me ask you this and be honest. Did you at any point in time refer to it as we when discussing your favorite team?
Oh, yeah.
We have to shut down this podcast, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm playing. I'm from Kansas, where it's
Yeah.
like sports is like,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I
No, I
look
mean,
like
it
a
is.
zombie because I'm literally watching the Cricket World Cup in India.
I mean, I'm following that,
Yeah.
I'm following Cricket World Cup just because it's happening in India, but I'm not getting about 1:30 in the morning when the game
Yeah.
starts. I'll just check the score online.
Bro, you
That's
better
pretty
get
much
up on
it.
So-
Saturday night, bro.
He's saying
No,
he has
yeah,
more of a
Saturday-
life than Vince.
No,
Yeah.
Saturday he's
I
gonna
mean,
be up. I already know.
You
He's
guys
already
Yeah.
ordered
on
all
each
the.
other.
Yeah, they're gonna be on
Yeah,
Zoom
it's the
whole time.
finals. It's the finals.
He showed
Yeah.
me cricket, and I gave it a good 10 minutes, and I'm just like, it's not my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like T20 better than ODI that they're playing. But I mean, India is in finals, so of course I'm gonna watch it. But like I don't even know who won the I don't honestly at this point I don't even know when the NBA finals happened. I have no idea who won. I have
Oh, it
no
already
idea. Like,
happened. I don't know.
yeah,
We
I have
don't
no idea.
follow either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
do
have
follow playoffs for NFL, which is kind of fun for me.
yeah, like I don't follow anything. I have no idea which team is good, which team is bad. Like, no, because it it gives you so much mental space when, like, for me personally, right? Just speaking for myself. It just gives me so much mental space when I don't have to clutter my mind about a score, a touchdown or whatever, NBA playoffs or baseball or whatever that might be. Just it's like, hey, that's like one less thing I have to worry about. Yes, if I'm like financially gaining out of it, I'm getting something out of it, great. I mean, for my entertainment, I go play pickleball, which I absolutely love. I go play it, weekends and weekdays when I get time. But that's what I love. But following sports or being on social media, that's something it just honestly gives me anxiety. And I'm like, yeah, it's just not good for me. And
Yeah.
there's no point following that when emotionally I'm not capable of like managing myself and get all worked up
My
about it.
my take on that, not to make this about me, I want to make it about you, but briefly is I feel like so I'm very competitive. I don't play video games for a reason because I just won't stop until
Right.
I can crush everybody. And so I took that same mindset. I kind of recognized that early on. It's I don't know, it's probably one part insecurity, one part overinflation of ego. I don't know. I'll have to talk to my therapist later about it. But until I'm like destroying everybody, I won't stop doing whatever it is.
Right.
And so I just take all that like natural energy and I put it towards business. I put it towards my music school, towards our real estate business. Not that I'm always looking over my shoulder at my buddy. Am I doing better than him? I actually don't care. Um, but it's a matter of like getting better every day. And if
Right.
I'm around somebody who's not trying to be better every day, and not just financially, I mean on every level,
Right.
we're just not going to have a lot to talk about. And I
Right.
feel like I do enjoy sports. I actually went to a history-making Dodger game, their first game of 2023 for the playoffs. It was like the worst they've ever been beat in playoff history. Just a fun tidbit. Um, but I only went just for fun. It's entertainment for me. I love going to the games. I had no idea who was who, by the way,
Right.
because I take all the energy that I might naturally have into, oh, what's the score? Who's winning? I have no control over that.
Right.
So I'm out. Like if I have no
Yeah.
control over the outcome, I've lost interest completely.
Yeah.
Maybe one day when we're like just fat cats rich on a yacht, I'll get back into it. And we want to have the luxury of just being bored. I don't know. But and for me, that's the way I work. I know that my
Right.
energy is finite and that competitive drive that I have is finite. So I take that like video game, sports, whatever, and I put it into business and I love it. And business, like Mark Cuban says, is a 24-hour sport. It's the
Yeah.
greatest game in the world.
Yeah. I mean, that's the game that you actually control, right?
Yeah.
Like at this point, if you ask me to name any quarterback on any NFL team, I could name even one. I just could not. I couldn't even name you one MLB player. Like I literally don't follow that. On basketball, I can name LeBron James if
Mm-hmm.
he's still playing. I don't know. Like he's pretty old,
I don't
so
know either.
yeah. But outside of that, I have no idea, no interest in anything. You're right. I mean, you have like limited, mental bandwidth that you have, and you choose what you want to use it on,
Yeah.
right? I would rather use it on things that are going to add value, or entertainment that I feel happy about. Whatever I do, I feel good about it, and that's what it's about. If like, following sports, if it makes someone happy, like good for them.
Yeah.
They're more control on their emotions than I did, so I have to kind of just, like you said, you have to know kind of what you're good at, what you're not, like
Right.
what you can manage in your life, and then you use that in a positive way.
Right. Yeah, channeling that energy. Yeah, in fact,
Yep, exactly.
we've been doing this podcast for a while, have been so lucky to speak to wonderful, high level people achieving wonderful things, such as yourself. By the way, thank you again for your time. And granted, we're not like asking these questions specifically, I guess. So this is purely anecdotal, but I don't recall too many of our guests who are really crushing it I don't recall them being like, hey, wait a minute, hold on. The game is going to be on in a second. I got to get off. Like
Right.
I don't think it's ever happened. I don't think too many of them are really getting that involved in something like that. And it makes sense because like we're saying, it's your time, your energy is finite. Even when it comes to like, like gambling, when we go to Vegas to celebrate Vince's birthday, I always hit blackjack. It's a problem. It is what it is. I like blackjack. And it's because I actually know the game. I had a grandmother who was a chain smoker, sweet lady, loved me to death, and was teaching us as little kids on a video game how to play. I just liked it, whatever it was. It was time with my grandmother more than anything. Point is, I did try other games, but I found that I really knew this one the best, and therefore I had the most degree of control. So I just enjoyed it more. Do I win every time? Definitely not. Do I win a lot? I actually do. The point is that's why I like real estate as an asset class. I definitely am not knocking anyone who's doing stocks or crypto or whatever. I actually do dabble in all that stuff myself, mostly index funds because I'm a dum-dum. But I love real estate because I can go, like you said, drive an hour to Indiana and just go do it, roll up my sleeves and do it myself, which we have done many times before. I enjoy that. So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's an asset that you control. It's funny that you say that. I mean, I started, like when I was working as an accountant, all I wanted to do was just be financially free. And I realized, the job that I had wasn't going to get me to the point that where I wanted to be in life, have freedom of time and money. It was a great company, great job, but I just didn't enjoy working for someone. And no jokes, at one point, I wanted to be a full-time poker player. I wanted to play, and absolutely worst poker face that you can imagine. You would know if I pocket
Really?
aces. You would.
I feel like
you
you'd
would
be.
just. No. You would just know, man. I would be just like jumping up. I'm like, hey, Drew, can you go all in? Can you go all in? Yeah, you would know. Yeah, so that wasn't going to be my life's calling. Then I started investing in stocks and bonds. I just couldn't take the up and down of the market, and also the fact that I didn't control the asset.
Yeah.
It was just like totally out of my hand. All I could control was where to put my money, but just couldn't control the outcome. And that's kind of where real estate came into what you said, Drew. It's an asset that I control. If you're buying a single family, it's like 100% of the asset I control. I can make decision on it. I can control my ROI on it, to some extent, but it's not dependent on someone else making decision for me.
Yes. And I love that it's an infinite game.
Exactly. Yeah.
Every time you make a mistake, you've learned, and now you're better, you're smarter for the next deal. And
100%.
those wins are on wins, and exponential eventually, which is, I think, the place you're at now, which is great. So have you hit that point now of like, are you financially free? Where are we at? Are we 2 years away? We were there 5 years ago?
No,
I paid off houses, bro. He's financially free.
I'm leading the witness, Your Honor.
Yeah. No, I would say I'm financially free. That was always the goal, to be financially free, not be dependent on money, not be dependent on like my source of income, that I didn't have to work for anyone. So that was always the goal. That's why I absolutely love owning real estate, cash flowing properties. So that's been beyond grateful, beyond fortunate that, just happened to be in the right place at the right time, just, came across the right things and kind of guided me to, things I needed to do in my life. So it's just kind of worked out.
And, you're being very humble, which is, nice. But of course you studied, you ran numbers,
of course
you stayed up late at night.
I studied.
Yeah.
But if I think about, if I were not living in Chicago, I mean, I went to school in New York, and I moved to Chicago for my job. What if I had not moved from New York to Chicago?
Sure.
You just kind of start looking at it, and it's like, everything just kind of aligned for me to make the decisions that I did.
But you did the work. I want to emphasize that for anyone listening, that, it is one part, right place, right time, little stroke of luck, but you put in the work, and you gain the knowledge and the insight and stay course, no matter what mistakes, ups and downs, and that's really just what it's about.
Absolutely. I mean, if I like something, I get pretty passionate about it. Like, I'll go all in. I mean, no pun intended from poker, but I'll go all in on that. Like, even when I wanted to be a full-time poker player, I was really all in. I was driving to the casinos in Indiana. I would play there. I would read books. I would, follow stuff online, and just kind of realized in a few months, this is not, I mean, this is the fastest way for me to go bankrupt. So, just had to realize then I did the same thing with stocks and bonds, like just drove myself in. And then
Same.
with real estate, I started noticing, hey, I can really control this. I can control the outcome that I have. Unlike poker and stock, it's all dependent on me. So that's what kind of really attracted me towards real estate.
Vince, how you doing? What attracted you to real estate, sir?
Now
I sound-
we still have to find from Vince what he does in his off time.
What do you
That's
do for
kinda what
fun? Who are you? No
Yeah.
one knows who Vince is. That's the
yeah,
problem.
it's
Yeah.
going to be a secret. You got to go on a date with me to find out.
But
yeah, I
guess
mean,
I'm never
financially
gonna
free.
find that out.
What's that? You never know. Financially free is such an interesting thing that you're able to do. If I stop buying houses like crazy, when Drew goes to sleep, we can be financially free, I guess, in a year. But with new properties, it comes new experiences and new things, and it becomes harder to grow much faster. So we're still in the growth phase. We haven't hit 40 yet. We still have a few years for that. Then we will probably think about like more kind of like settling down a little bit in terms of buying more and more and more. But it's fun. I like it. I want to educate people, get cool people like you on the show, see what different people are doing. It's basically like, I think you'll be like guest number 60 or something. We've had so many people, there's so many different stories. You hear so many stories from different people from different backgrounds. I mean you're
Yeah,
from
you
you're
got the best one on episode 60 now.
yeah, you got the best one.
Yeah.
Another dude from India just killing it here. I mean, last week was Sridhar too, and he's also from India too, so he was kind of killing it too. It's kind of cool. So yeah, thanks for coming on, man. Any other last words of wisdom for the people? What do you think of the market? 2024, is it going to crash? Should
Yeah,
we
I was
wait
gonna
on?
ask the same thing. Do you see a recession coming?
I don't know, man. It's not like I honestly I don't make
He doesn't care.
decisions
He's
based
financially
on.
free.
Yeah, no, it's not that. I mean, I still
He's
have.
got paid off houses, guys. Don't ask
He's
him
like,
about
"Dude,
interest
I'm
rate. He's like, what are you,
Yeah.
poor, borrowing money? Like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, what's Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac?
Yeah.
What do they do?
Yeah, what are these government
Yeah.
agencies? No.
No, I mean, of course, it impacts me a lot. The investors that we have for RE Simpli that are using our product, it impacts them. Look, I mean, there's always going to be ways to make money, right? But every year it's going to get more challenging, right? I mean, there's going to be ups and downs. Like right now, there's a lot of regulations with, for example, texting. I don't know how familiar you are with
Yeah, I
that,
know.
but there's
Yeah, you got all
regulations.
these things. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of regulations. Interest rate is high, but there's always going to be people. You have to keep in mind, there's always going to be people that are looking to sell houses, right? You have to realize that it's real estate is something that's always going to be people that are looking to buy, that are looking to sell. Some years there's going to be less sellers, more buyers. Some years there's going to be more more sellers, less buyers. So you just have to adjust kind of what you're doing. To keep in mind, and this is something that took me a while to get accustomed to, is prices are going to go up. The properties that I used to pay 50, 60,000 for, now we're buying those for 150,000, putting money into them and flipping them. And like we're closing on a property tomorrow that we're paying, I don't know, like 55 or 60. It's worth about 135 fixed up. We'll put money into it. Like when I started investing, I wouldn't have even paid like 5,000-10,000 for the property. So it took me a little bit of time to just kind of have that mental shift. But I think, I mean, even if there is recession, right, there's still people looking to sell houses and buy houses. The worst mistake any investor that I think can make is overpay for a house. Once you've overpaid for a house, if you paid $150,000 for $100,000 house, there's absolutely nothing you can do. There's no way that you can recoup that 50,000 because you've overpaid. The smartest thing you want to do is when you're buying a property, make sure you pay lower than market value, or lower, just negotiate on the buy side. Once you've done that, then you have room to play around. If for the same $100,000 property, if you bought it for 60,000, now you have few things you can do with that property. Worst case, you can dump it, make a little bit of money, break even, walk away. But if you pay 150 for $100,000 property, there's nothing you can do, other than lose money on it, unless you find somebody else who's not aware of the market and willing to pay 150 for that property.
Making
So
push your money on the buy.
Yeah. So for us, like we make our money when we buy a property, like we make our money on the purchase price. And then after that, what we do with the systems and processes, that's a separate thing. But once we overpaid, no amount of efficiency in a business is going to help us make money on that deal. So for us, we make our money buying the property. That's for us, like when we're buying a property tomorrow, we know we're making money on it. It's just like, when are we going to cash that check, so to speak, is when we sell it. We made our money tomorrow, but we're going to cash our check in 3 to 4 months when we sell it.
Thank you, sir.
So-
Now, any way for people to connect to you other than RESimpli.com?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not on social media, so they can just email me directly, Sharad at RESimpli.com, SHARAD at RESIMPLI.com.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
brother.
guys. Thank you. Yeah, great talk.
Thanks, man.
I don't know about you, but I definitely like to see 5-star reviews on any service or any product before I purchase. Please take a second to leave us a 5-star review, whether you're listening to it on Apple, iTunes, or Spotify, or whatever platform. Take a second, goes a long way, helps us a lot to grow the channel, and thanks for listening.